In these problems, we want to simplify expressions involving rational exponents. And we'd like to use some of the rules of exponents to hopefully do it by hand without a calculator. So in the past, you may have studied a rule of exponents, which basically says a to the m raised to the n equals a to the m times n. What we want to do in order to simplify these by hand is to use that rule in reverse. So a to the m times n equals a to the m raised to the n, or perhaps it equals a to the n raised to the m. What I mean is I can take that fraction and break it down into different parts and separate the 2/5. So for example, I could do 32 raised to the 1/5, let's say, and then raise that to the -2. Why does this work? Because when you multiply the exponents, you would multiply these numerators together. The 2 would be over a 1, so you'd multiply the tops and bottoms and you'd get back to the original exponent. But the reason why I do this is because I may be able to determine what the 5th root of 32 is. And so I could simplify it. And if I knew what the 5th root of 32 was, then I could just raise that result to the -2 and I could get an answer for this problem. And luckily, I do know what the 5th root of 32 is. It is 2. See, 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 makes 32, right? So 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is 32. Using that fact, the 5th root of 32 must be 2. So what I really want then is 2 to the -2. Since I have a negative exponent, I'm going to use the rule that a to the -m is equal to 1 over a to the +m. So this is going to be 1 over 2 to the +2, which is 1/4. Now you can also type this into calculator to get that same result. In order to do it on calculator, you'd want to type 32, raise it to a power, and then use parentheses -2 over 5. And that'll also tell you that it's 1/4. Let's try another one. 8 to the 2/3. I could write it as 8 to the 1/3 raised to the 2. That would be valid. So we're talking about the cubed root of 8 raised to a power of 2. I know the cubed root of 8 is 2. So we're looking for 2 to the 2, and that is 4. (64 to the -2/3). Let's try 64 to the 1/3, and we'll raise that to the -2. Cubed root of 64 is 4. And so we'll get this. It's 1 over 16. Let's see, 16 to the 1/4 raised to the -3 will be a 4th root of 16 raised to the -3. So that's going to be 2. 4th root of 16 is 2. 2 to the -3 makes 1 over 2 to the +3. That's 1 over 8. Here we'll have 9 to the 1/2 raised to the 3. That's the square root of 9 they're talking about. So that's just going to be 3 to the 3, which is 27. And keep in mind, I don't have to do the denominator first. I could have written it as 25 to the third raised to the 1/2. It's just that that's not something I can easily do in my head. 25 times 25 times 25 is going to be a pretty big number. So I'd rather reverse the order and do the square root first, and then raise my result to the 3. Then I can do it in my head. See, the square root of 25 is 5. And then we're looking for 5 to the third, which is 125.